All right, this video I'm getting ready to make is going to piss some people off, to be honest, but it needs to be said. What we're going to do, we're going to read a post that I put in my school community, and then we're going to discuss it in further detail. Now, the post is called, "How are you going to buy a Ferrari if you're complaining about the price of eggs?" Now, before we get into this, if you're a guy who wants more out of life, you don't want to take the normal life path, you want to make more money, date beautiful women, be in great shape, and be an overall high-value man, I really recommend that you join the Life Maxed group. The guys in there are completely changing their lives from getting in great shape, building their own businesses, and I'm still dropping new courses in it to this day. Links in the description box below if you're interested in joining us. Now, let's get into the video. All right, so let's get into the post. During the last election, one of the biggest talking points was the price of gas. People were furious that gas had gone from $2.50 a gallon to $3.50 a gallon, a true crime against humanity, don't you think? The discussion was about how people couldn't afford to run the heat in the winter or fill up the gas tanks all the way. More recently, the price of eggs doubled due to bird flu limiting the supply. Again, people were outraged. The president's approval rating dropped, and every other meme on Instagram was joking about how people couldn't afford eggs. People were afraid that they wouldn't be able to feed their families. In both of these cases, the average person felt helpless and looked at the government demanding they do something about the, quote, outrageous prices of essential goods. This mindset is disgusting, and it needs to be purged completely from your system. As a man, you should be ashamed of yourself if you can't afford to spend an extra $20 per month on gas. And not only that, but what kind of man finds himself in that position and then looks at the government to solve the problem? This mindset shows that someone has no agency. They are a victim financially and living in scarcity. There's a reason most people are broke, and it's not the government or jobs being outsourced to China. It's this attitude. An attitude that takes no responsibility for their own prosperity in life. I refuse to have people around me who complain about the price of things. If you can't afford it, that's fine, but you should take responsibility for that. If you see a house you like but can't afford, there's no shame in that. The shame is in saying, quote, "Wow, that's nice, but I could never afford that." You know how people will see stuff and just act like it's impossible for them to achieve it. It's for other people and not for them and that kind of shit. That's what I'm talking about there. It's the limited mindset that acts like somehow you couldn't become rich. One thing I've noticed is that every rich person I know is focused on growing their money, and every broke person I know is focused on how much day-to-day items cost. Rich people realize they can't control the price of things, but they can control their income. Poor people and most middle-class people believe their income is controlled by outside forces and that the government must make prices affordable for them. This is why they complain about the price of things. Their belief system says the government should make things affordable for me, and you guys know I don't like the word should. How are you possibly going to get ahead with this attitude? How are you ever going to buy a Ferrari if you're too busy complaining about the price of eggs? You need to adopt an attitude of total responsibility for your financial situation. If you are broke, it is your fault. If you are rich, it is your fault. Focus on what you can control, which is your income, and make it a priority in your life to become rich. So, there's so much that I realized is just like so many interesting perspectives in this discussion that happened when the price of eggs started going up. So I remember months ago when this started happening, all these memes coming out from like the Dave Ramsey kind of pages and stuff talking about how expensive eggs were. And I was just like, this is such like a gross mindset, guys. Like I was just like, ugh, like I had to like unfollow these pages. Like I couldn't stand to continue seeing these stupid memes of people joking about how like eggs were now for the rich because they were so expensive and all this. And I was just like, this is just such a toxic mindset. Now, there's so many different layers to this idea that we can unpack here that I'm planning to unpack in this video. And the first one I would say is really getting down to this conversation of agency, of how the normal person just simply views money as this thing out of their control. They grew up in this kind of environment where they view like incomes as these fixed things. Like when you're in high school and the guidance counselor says, this is how much money you make at this job. You know how they do that? So like you're kind of given this job and they show you like this is the income for said job. So they kind of like tell you it as if it's like a fact of nature, like this is how it is, like you have no control over how much money you make. It's basically like this is what you get paid for this job. But in reality, that's not how it works at all. And you can actually increase your income a ton. It's almost entirely within your control how much money you make. Like sure, you're gonna have to develop yourself, you're gonna have to improve like skills and figure things out and network. It's not an easy process, but your income is within your control, just like everything else in your life is your responsibility. And this egg conversation and the gas conversation about how gas is so expensive, this is ridiculous, and how like that was going to be a big factor in the election was the price of gas. Like of all the shit going on, like the price of gas is going to decide what people do in elections and things like that. It's just this fucking brokey ass mindset that the average person has, where they just go around looking like acting like they're completely screwed financially. Jobs should pay more rather than going out there and getting themselves a higher paying job or starting a business so they can really control their income, or like the government should make everything affordable for them. It's like this entitled ass mindset that like they're somehow simultaneously powerless to increase their income yet entitled to have a prosperous life where they can afford everything. Doesn't make sense. The price of things has always gone up, and different supply chain issues have always affected the prices of things. Like things will go up in price briefly and then come back down depending on different things going on in supply chains and stuff like that. So like it's just this absolutely ridiculous mindset, and it's a gross thing to have around you. And it's just I mean, honestly, guys, you got to get these people away from you. If you're somebody who thinks like this, you really need to purge this kind of attitude from your system, because you're never going to get ahead with this attitude, you know? And like I said, rich people that I know, they don't worry about the price of things because they can't control the price of things, but they can control how much money they make. And so like they get up every day thinking about how they can improve their income. They're building businesses. This is what I do. I'm like, okay, how can I, get more clients for my real estate business? Now that I'm back on YouTube, I'm working on doing a revamp for my school community and really getting that to take off. I'm like, how can I get more people to join my school community, really turn this into a big movement, all that kind of stuff, and just make a lot more money, It's a business owner's mindset to get up and think about increasing their income, whereas it's kind of this like peasant, NPC, normie mindset to get up and bitch about the price of things. And it's just like, you can't control the price of gas. You can't control like at this point, guys, you should have figured out we had Joe Biden, we've had Donald Trump, we've had Obama, and basically the same shit happens every single time. Like the elections don't matter. We're going to war in the Middle East again. Like it doesn't matter who's in charge. Like you have no control over that. You got to understand these kinds of things are completely out of your control. And every second you spend bitching about things that are outside of your control is a second that you can't spend on doing the things you can control. And the more time you spend focusing on increasing your income, the less time you have to spend worrying about the cost of goods. If you're making, like there's this thing that a friend of mine and I always say to each other, and we always say to each other, basically the answer to everything is just make more money. It's like, okay, the system is corrupt. What do? We need to just get filthy rich. Okay, cost of living is going up. What do we need to do? We need to get filthy rich. Okay, the things we want in life are expensive. What do we need to do? We need to get filthy rich. Okay, women like men who are high status and successful. What do we need to do? We need to get filthy rich. Okay, quality food costs money. What do we need to do? Get filthy rich. The answer to everything is you've got to get filthy rich, guys. It is always the answer. At a minimum, I said this in a couple videos ago, at a minimum, you have to make $120,000 per year. That just needs to be your like baseline standard. Like if I'm not making this, I've got work to do. And I mean, really, I tell you beyond that, but like, I mean, that's just if you just want to live like a normal lifestyle, you got to make $120,000 per year in today's world. And so I just look at this and I'm like, this is another example of this whole thing of like, you cannot control the price of things. You cannot make the world cheaper for you. You are not entitled to a good life where everything is handed to you and all this kind of shit. The only thing you can do is just focus on getting rich. That part you can do, okay? And you just got to like deprogram yourself from all of this normie mindsets around money where it's like you go get this job and it's a fixed income and you get your 2% annual raise. Like you got to get out of all that shit, guys. I'm going to make a whole video on this concept, but really like the world is kind of bifurcating right now where you've got a group of people who are really just kind of seeing the world for what it is, and they're understanding that, and they're not complaining about it. And then you've got this group over here, which is a collection of people who are unwilling to accept the way that the world is, or are ignorant to the way the world is. And I say this in a lot of different areas of life, right? So like, on this side, you've got the people who accept the nature of dating and relationships and marriage and women and all that stuff. And they just kind of accept that and they play the game for what it is. And then over here, you've got people who are completely ignorant to that and they still believe in this like fantasy, like happy wife, happy life. Let me get down on a knee and propose and we're going to live happily ever after and all that simpy ass shit. And you've got the guys over here who are also like bitter about the way that reality is, and so they're unwilling to accept it. And so you've got like these two different groups going on right here. You got the people who will accept it and deal with reality, the people who don't know about reality, or the people who will not accept reality. It's the same with money. So like on this side, you've got people who say, okay, I can't control the price of things. Inflation's a fact of life. You know, we have a fiat currency which is backed by nothing and it's controlled by international banks, and they don't give a shit if you're financially successful or not. They're going to do what's in their best interest. Price of goods is going to keep going up. Life's going to get more expensive. Houses aren't going to get a lot cheaper. They might go down a little bit in the short term, but over the long term, they're just going to keep getting more expensive. You know, power is concentrating, wealth is concentrating into a few different hands. The best thing I can do right now is focus and devote myself seriously to getting rich. And there's a lot of people on this side right here. This is the camp I'm in. This is the camp that a number of people that you probably watch online are in. Then on this side over here, you've got the people who still think that if you go to college and get a 4-year degree and work for a corporation, you're going to be all right. Or you've got the people who are, you know, teachers or whatever the heck, and they're making 40, 50K per year. And then you've got this group that knows what I just told you is true, that knows that everything's going to get expensive, that knows that the politicians don't care about you and that they're not going to make things cheaper for you and that they can't do it even if they want to. It's not really within their control. They know all of that stuff, but they won't accept the prescription that comes with that, which is you have to get rich, you have to do the work, you can't fuck around. They won't accept that prescription. And so they go into this whole like everything's screwed, life should be different, I'm entitled to good things, like this kind of attitude. And it's like, all right, I mean, think that all you want, but like you're just going to be screwed for that. And nobody's going to feel sorry for you and the world's not going to change for you. You know, in the area that I live right now, everybody loves to complain about traffic. It's like, oh, there's so much traffic, all these new people, and people love to bitch about this and bitch about the fact that houses are more expensive. And like, I saw somebody comment on this post that I had that was kind of going viral, and they said something like, my kids can't even afford to buy a house here anymore. And I was like, this is embarrassing to say this publicly. You know what I mean? It's like, congrats, you're poor. Like this is again like one of these mindsets normal people have where they're all poor and so they kind of unite around their poverty. They're just like, oh, we're all poor and this sucks and we're getting screwed and we're poor and like this victim thing. Whereas I just look at that and I'm like, this is embarrassing. You're poor. That's embarrassing. That's gross. Like you should get away from me with that bullshit. Like you really need to adopt this mindset. It sounds fucked up, but like if you want to be one of these people who's like, yeah, we're all in it together, hanging out with the poor people and the people complaining about the price of gas and eggs, like you're fucked. You really think you're going to hang out with those kind of people and share their mindsets and have this attitude where you're upset at success and think it's unfair and complaining about the price of things? If you think you can have that attitude and get to the top and live a good life, you are fooling yourself. That's like being like a basketball player and being like you're screwed because LeBron James is taller than you. It's like, fine, if that's what you think, you're never going to make it to the NBA. And maybe you weren't going to make it to the NBA anyways, but like you have a much better chance not being a victim. You get what I'm saying? And so I hear this type of shit from people, just the constant, like, you know, middle managers are taking all the money, or the executives overpaid, or they outsource the jobs to India or China or whatever. Like, it's just all this shit, just like bitching and complaining about the way the economy works. And I'm like, none of this helps you, and you are never going to get ahead with this attitude. You have to get all of this out. You have to take a very radical, realistic approach to the way the economy works. You have to just look at it for what it is. And, you know, we've just lived in this bubble. We have been fed this from the education system to the fact that we had this like boomer generation that just got easy jobs that paid for everything for them. And, you know, like everything was cheap. And so like, we're just coming out of this era that just is a blip in human history. And the way economies usually work is a few people own everything and everybody else is flat broke. And like, we're going back into that kind of reality here. And some people are going to escape it and they're going to make a lot of money. And then the other people are just going to be broke losers. And like, you just have to deal with this reality. You are not entitled to a good life. You're not going to have one, whether you feel entitled to it or not. You are not going to have one if you don't just go do the work and deal with reality. If you think you can make $50,000 per year here and complain about the price of eggs and the politicians are going to give a shit, you're screwed. You're cooked. And like, guys, I just get this mindset out of your head. I'm telling you, like, nobody successful wants to hear it. They just immediately, the moment that I hear somebody complaining about the price of things, I'm like, yeah, this guy's just like, get him away from me, right? It's like, you know, I mean, I'll sometimes have it with like clients or something, like complaining about like some fee. And I'm like, yeah, like I agree that there are sometimes like fees that are just stupid and it's annoying when fees are getting tacked on, but like just this penny pinching ass mindset of just like everything's so expensive and it's bullshit that it costs money and all this. And I'm like, dude, I cannot control that every fucking company in the world has decided they're going to put a transaction fee on shit, like a service fee. I agree they're bullshit, but what are you going to do? Rage against the system to stop the fucking transaction fee? Or are you just going to make more fucking money? And just like, I really think like so many people, I'm like a loss for words sometimes with this guys, but like so many people, they think that like they should just make money doing this thing and not have to think about it. They're just like, I should get up and work and money should just come in and it should just take care of everything for me. And I'm like, that's just a dumb mindset, guys. Like, you need to flip this in your head and understand that like we're living in an era where you don't get to be asleep at the wheel and do well financially. You have to get up every day thinking about this. It's the same with health. It's the same with basically anything good you want out of life. You're going to have to get up and consciously put effort into making it good, right? If you just eat what's on the menu, you're going to get fat and sick and die early. If you're just going to follow the prescription that they give you for relationships, you're going to get divorced, raped, you're going to get cheated on, you're going to get left on red, you're going to date a 4 out of 10. That's going to be your life. If you just wake up and show up to your crappy ass job and expect that that's going to take care of everything for you, you're going to be in debt. You're going to be broke. You're going to be playing the victim. You're going to be unhappy. Nobody's going to want to deal with you. Like, you have to get up and understand like success is a way of life. It's a lifestyle. And you've got to look at all these different areas of your life and in particular finances and just say, listen, I'm not going to get the good things in life playing the victim over here and complaining. I'm not going to get a Ferrari bitching about the price of eggs. It's just not going to happen. And I'm not going to have anything good in life. If you don't want a Ferrari, if you just don't want to have to stress, like, you're not going to get that living the normal life. And you know this. If you've been watching me rant for at this point, 20, 30 minutes, you know that you know this is true, or you wouldn't be watching. You're not going to get it. The life you're following, this normie ass path, is not going to get you what you want. So the question is really just like, who are you? You're going to, and your actions are going to determine what kind of man you are. You're going to continue down the path, keep bitching about the way things are and not change anything, even though you know the truth, and you're in this one group. You're going to start taking action, fix the problem, do something about it, take responsibility for your life. You're going to get into this other group, and you're going to get to have a great life. Because here's the other thing that's interesting is like, the higher I move up the socioeconomic ladder, the better I do financially, the less sympathy I have for normal people. It's like when I was down there flat broke, I was like, man, like, this is really some bullshit. It's like progressively you move up the ladder and you just start looking and you're like, well, these people are all lazy as fuck and I don't feel bad for any of them. And you start looking and you're like, why shouldn't we outsource the jobs to China? I don't want to pay expensive labor. I'm in the position now where like I'm going to be looking to hire people at some point soon. I'll be looking to hire a video editor. I'll be looking to hire, a photographer. I'll be looking to hire maybe like just like admin people, a virtual assistant, things like that. Like on some level, I'd love to pay an American, but I'll be damned if I'm paying somebody 5 times as much money to do the same job, and they're going to be entitled and complaining the whole time. So like again, it's like the further you move up this ladder, it's just like you look back at those people anyways, and you're like, you guys are all fucking clowns. I don't want to deal with you anyways. So like you start to realize that whole mindset is just a brokey poverty mindset. And so just the best thing you can do for yourself is just disregard all of that, climb the ladder, and you'll realize that the game's not as rigged as you think. As you just got to do a lot of work at the beginning, and then you'll get out of it, and you'll understand why the system is the way it is. You'll understand why jobs are getting outsourced. You'll understand why, economies inflate. You'll understand why all of these different things happen. Because now you're not broke and you're not playing the victim. You're not down in this normie reality where you're buying your groceries on Klarna, like 4 easy payments to buy a banana. You're in the reality where you can pay cash for a nice car. You're in this different kind of world, and you just start looking at the whole game differently. And so I'm telling you, you got to adopt this mindset early. Get out of this shit. Focus on building your income. Focus on getting your health right. Like, I don't even have that much sympathy for people when it comes to diet, because I know what the trash food is, and so I just don't eat it. So I look at the fat slobs out there, and I'm like, dude, you know not to eat this shit. This is not hard, right? It's like, just stop playing the victim. Don't try to be one of these people, okay? Like, you want more out of life, then get more out of life. and go do it and stop with the complaining. Let us take all that bullshit out and join this group over here where life is still good, where life is great, actually. And then you'll just look back at all these people and be like, I don't know why you can't get the Big Mac out of your fucking mouth. I don't know why you can't stop jerking off. I don't know why you can't make more than 18 bucks an hour. And you'll just start looking at all these people and the sympathy will dry up. You'll stop playing a victim and you'll just be empowered and you'll enjoy your life because you took responsibility rather than looking at the system to solve all your problems for you.